Three companies, disrupting what you know about marketing and branding. Welcome to M Squared.
Welcome back to another edition of M Squared. I'm your host, Dan Ryan. Joining me as always, Mike Bloomfield, Tech Geek, Anthony Rapp, PR Cision.
What's up, brother?
And our special guest, Chris Edwards, President and CEO of the Somerset County Business Partnership.
How you doing, gentlemen?
So thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
2 for 2.
2 for 2.
I'm proud
It's been a while since we did this. Took a little hiatus because I happened to get the worst haircut of my life and we needed a little break.
Wait, is that the reason? Is that the real reason we haven't booked?
Yeah, I didn't want people to see what I look like.
Oh my god!
And you're okay
So,
with
listen.
what you look like now?
Yeah, I'm better with
I
it.
just-
I'm better with it. So listen, have you ever had a barber look at you and say, whoops, I shouldn't have cut that?
No.
That's what happened to me.
I didn't realize. Like, I've been very busy, so like when we
we'll
weren't
talk about
booking anything, I'm
No,
like,
it
oh,
wasn't 'cause
we're
of
not
that.
booking. But
It wasn't 'cause of
But
that.
I know. But it goes to show because we talk about this, right? And that's why the importance of a podcast is we record these and having a backlog because we've been busy. You had your with the food truck festival, ton of stuff going on, galas. You've been busy. The Call Being Gala. We've had everything. I've been busy, but it allowed us. We have so much in the pipeline that was ready to be cut and released that we took. What I don't think we've recorded in about 6 to 8 weeks.
Probably about 2 months.
Yeah, about 2 months. But we had enough in the pipeline. But it's like going to the gym, though, right? We spoke
I
about
need to go
that.
to the gym.
We all do. But we missed earlier. You were making fun of fat people, but
I wasn't making fun of them. I was trying to identify
People who
the...
identify as being skinny humans.
I am skinny.
Wow, skinny humans.
So, but no, but but it's like going to the gym, and the important thing is here we are. We booked. We're back. You've already said that you have a bunch of stuff booked for some
yeah.
other podcasts you're
Right.
doing because
Gotta get back
it's
to the
like
swing.
it's like that thing. It's so easy when you stop doing something to just like let it disappear.
Yeah.
And that's the case. It's keep going. They say most podcasts fail after 5 shows and
5 or
it's
6
cool.
episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God.
But at the same time, too, we went on a run, though. Like, we did live events back to back to back. And it's a lot. Like, it's exhausting when you're out there doing it for the whole day and you're doing live interviews and then, like, to edit all of that and then turn it into social content
Ask David.
on top of it.
He'll tell you.
Yeah, the live events are great. Like similarly, like your Biz
Still
Fest.
working on January.
What we've done is at events, they set us up at a table there, and then we interview during the course of a day, 10 to 20 businesses.
Right.
And that's just now 10 to 20 shows that you're basically getting reels from. And we talked about that earlier as well, the importance of
The social content.
of reels, right? As the marketing expert.
It's all he's going to get, right? We walked out, I said, we'll have 10 reels and 2 JPEGs and 5 thumbnails, you're good.
10
That's it.
reels, and I can listen to the full thing in 2026. It'll be great.
Yeah, maybe. It depends on what David's doing. But the reels will be up and out.
David's gonna lose this.
No, but but the reels are it's really what's the important thing, and it's so different in marketing, right? Than how it used to be. It's just that short little 10 to 15 second video reel that goes out that grabs someone's attention to now bring them to your page to do the like, to subscribe, learn about what you have going on at the partnership. It's crazy.
Chris, tell us, like, the need for the businesses that come to you for video and social content is probably pretty growing, right? It's changing. It's evolving.
We've had an amazing transformation during the last 5 years as we've actually become more focused on education, and that just comes out of the pandemic. In 2020, as no one was networking, we were really investing in making sure our businesses knew how to get grants, how to get loans, how to get their business, through it. But at the end of the day, that's like an hors d'oeuvre to what people really want, which is getting connected in with each other. And, I think what I come up with a lot is that most people don't know what they need to do. And they kind of come up with an internal check box of, okay, am I on social? Am I
Do I have an
posting?
account? Yep, good. I'm
Right.
done.
But
That's right.
I'm sure, and you know way better than I do, that tends to lead to failure. So we get a lot of people who they come to the partnership, they know they need to do something. And the hardest part, I always say this with a small business, the hardest part is to get a small business owner to take a moment and really reflect on where they're at as a business and what they need to do, because they're constantly spending more time inside the business. And that's that's a real struggle. I heard something that really stuck with me is that getting from 100 to 1,000 employees is way easier than going from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
Like
something
going
we
from
focus
$1
on
million
lot.
in revenue to
Right,
3.
Right. Isn't it less than 1% of businesses, I think, in the country, right, ever hit $1 million revenue?
Right.
Correct.
And that's so basically you hit $1 million revenue.
Then
you're
3 is easy,
you're
5 is easy.
Right. And then it's the jump is 1 to 3, right? That's your next hurdle. Once you hit 3, right, then it's 3 to 10. And
And then it gets
basi-
easier.
Right. And it just gets easier. And it's so much different. But that's that hardest. And that's why so many like IT providers, you really never see them more than 1-3 employees because it is tough. You really have to start thinking like a business owner.
Yeah, there definitely can be a moment for a business owner where your dream of making a certain amount of money turns into I'm comfortable here, and that next step
Complacency
becomes
is
so
death.
daunting.
a
Yeah,
t-shirt.
Yeah, but it's hard to let go of your craft, right? Like you're in IT because you're good at it, but then to
think.
trust other people to be your
You
brand,
have to hire
be
good
your
people, right? Yeah. And
And that's a
trust
very
them.
hard thing to do, right?
And not
To
everyone
scale-
could do it. People want to micromanage and still, hire all these employees, but then
Guilty.
control everyone.
Guilty.
That is your biggest thing. And then we
Guilty.
have that conversation with you all the time.
Guilty.
And our other good friend, Vinny Bonomi.
Yeah.
Of Specialties.
So one of the things, as you know, we talk about marketing, we talk about branding. So one of the things I find interesting about you in particular is that you almost have dual roles, right? So you're responsible for branding and positioning the organization as the organization, but then you also have a responsibility to people who are paying to be members to sort of brand and market them. So you're
Yeah.
kind of wearing 2 hats and you have 2 different roles. I don't want to call them divisions because maybe that's the wrong terminology, but you almost have 2 different routes and 2 different marketing facets. Thank you. 2 different marketing agendas, if you will. So how do you deal with that on both fronts? Maybe you take that as a 2-part question.
Well, just for some background, the Chamber of Commerce, Somerset County Chamber of Commerce goes back to 1919. We started in Somerville, and up until about 2002, 2003 was its own entity. It was called Somerset County Chamber of Commerce for a while. And then 20 years ago, the chamber merged with the County Economic Development Office and 2 other nonprofits that did long-term planning.
Got it.
It was really led by the major companies in the county saying, hey, we don't want to be members and paying investments to 3 or 4 separate companies that are doing
makes
roughly
sense.
similar things. So they pushed us all together, even to today, but really the first 10, 15 years of the new company's existence was trying to figure out how those 2 lanes
Right.
made sense under one umbrella. And I tend to look at it. We have a Chamber of Commerce, which is a 501c6, the foundation, a 501c3. We primarily do tourism and some economic development activities out of it. The way I try to at least get my head straight with it is the chamber focuses on the benefit of the membership, where the foundation focuses on the benefit of the county
Right.
as a whole. That at least gives us a starting point, and we go from there. But to your point, there are a lot of times where those circles don't interconnect, and we have to figure out what's the best reason to do. And that's really done on a case by case basis, depending on what the project is.
And it's also focus driven, right? Because sometimes maybe as an organization, maybe you want to be focused on membership drives, like
Right.
driving membership. So at that time, do you pull back on doing for the members and focus on that? Like, in other words,
Yeah.
it's difficult to balance, right?
Yes, it really is. We try to separate. We have 2 staff members who work on the foundation, and then we have 4 who work on the chamber. We try for the most part to keep the day-to-day separated, because if I'm going to meet with a hotel or a country club to talk about how we can promote them regionally,
Right.
and they're not a member, our tourism director still has to promote them whether they decide to join or not. So obviously it puts me in a bad situation, but I don't want to put the rest of the team in a situation
Right.
like that. A lot of stuff, I will tell you, most companies who would look to market and promote themselves, they join the chamber. It's not as big of a problem as we sometimes think it is internally, but there's a lot of, it's not so much the companies, it's the funding sources, right? So we get money from the state and the county to promote the county on the foundation side. That's really where we say, okay, we're getting taxpayer money.
Right.
We have to do what's best for the citizen of Somerset County, and sometimes you have to put the member need to the side. That's sometimes where the balancing act comes.
So what do you guys have coming up as far as events? You got the Somerset Patriots, you got other like destination things to go to when you're talking about travel and tourism.
Yeah, so Somerset County, pre-pandemic, about 75% of travel, and no one believes me when I say this, but the hospitality industry in Somerset County is a $1 billion industry. 70% of that pre-pandemic was business travel. So we are the home of, we're kind of the life sciences, the medicine chest of the world, all the big companies, Pfizer, Sanofi. They're all located, Johnson & Johnson are all located in Somerset County. So that was really our focus was, with 38 hotels in a county, how do we...
38 hotels.
38 hotels. And in Franklin Township, which is our largest town in Somerset County, they have the largest cluster of hotels in any town in New Jersey outside of Atlantic City. And most of those popped up.
That's a cool fact.
Yes. So like Newark or the Newark Airport has a ton of hotels, but they're divided up into different towns,
We
right?
have 3, I think. Am I wrong? 3.
Three and a couple
They're all
Airbnbs.
right here.
4, oh, we got 4? Sorry.
5. There's 5 hotels.
But in this area, you got 3 right here. So he's talking clusters, right?
Yeah. We've transitioned during the pandemic. We transitioned to leisure travel. So we focused a lot on marketing to New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, Baltimore, about getting people who, wanted to get out of the cities, but maybe weren't doing a big trip to Florida or the Caribbean. So traveling local, and Somerset County really is that first stop when you start hitting more rural areas. So if you want to do pumpkin picking, all the fall activities, take the kids to the farm, you don't have to drive to eastern Pennsylvania or upstate New York. You can come literally 30 minutes west of Staten Island and start to experience that life. So our marketing focus transitioned from business travel to that leisure travel market. And this year is the year we'll hit full recovery from the pandemic. So it's been pretty exciting because at that point we didn't know if that would ever come back.
I just have to say, we were talking to Prego. Prego also helps with this. He asked me the other day, he said, are you ever going to stop talking about COVID? But he just goes to show. He's like, every episode.
It can't help
it. just keeps coming back.
always goes back.
It's crazy to think, though. Here we are, 4 years out?
Yeah, but
And
I
it's-
mean,
Didn't you have COVID like a week ago?
No.
the world had
My cousin has
now.
it right
the
now.
world had a recount.
But it is amazing though, because you don't realize, like, being from Staten Island and then you go into like Somerset County. My brother, before he moved to Florida, lived in Bridgewater, and I was driving, like, Google Maps took me to his house. I'm literally driving through farms,
Right.
and then you're back into like a nice area and houses, and it looks no different than here, and then
Right.
you're back through farms again. It's crazy, and it's so close.
Are you judging farms?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm judging
I heard
farms.
You don't like cows.
I want to go back to something you said. So you said you're now marketing to different cities and different
Yeah.
locations. So one of the things we focus on and try and provide value to anyone who's listening or watching is what's working and what's not. So what metrics and what channels and what distribution are you using to pretty much disseminate the information, disseminate your marketing? What
Yeah.
channels are working the best for you, and why do you think they are?
Well, I think we were slow to the game with digital, but that, again, pandemic, that we went all digital.
You had to learn real quick.
And we're in, we never needed a marketing team for tourism before, right? And part of that's because we are on social media, but we're also video really is where we get a lot, and it's reels, and it's what people want now when it comes to travel. And I even think about this in terms of how I plan trips with my kids and stuff is itinerary based marketing.
So you mean it's not just your wife scrolling through Instagram saying, "Babe, we have to go here"?
That's
Is that
never-
only,
that's
is that
not-
only me?
that's-
That's only me.
I can't confirm nor deny. I take some of that stuff in, but it's I think you look at what the New York Times started years ago with the 36 Hours In series, and a lot of websites are, hey, what's a weekend in Somerset County look
Right.
like, and give me point by point, go here, go here, go here. And that's a lot of our focus. We do a lot. One of the big things we did last year is we used to have a county visitor center at our old office, and we would get maybe 3 visitors a year. We were right on Route 22. It was a major location, but people were going by at 70 miles an hour. They weren't stopping to pick up a map. So we went digital with our visitor center. It's actually, we have 4 kiosks around the county. One that's in Somerville, right in the heart of the pedestrian traffic. One that's at TD Bank Ballpark for the Patriots. We've had it at the Bridgewater Commons. And people go up and can scroll through everything that you would put in a visitor center right on the screen. So it's about going to where people are at, but also giving them, not just saying, here are all the restaurants in Bridgewater. Like, here's what a great weekend in and around Bridgewater looks like, and really
Telling a
kind of
story.
giving, yes,
You're telling
yeah.
a story.
And then I'm assuming you're able to get metrics out of that too. Know analytics, know how many people interact with it and they're using it.
We had more people use our kiosks in the first 3 months they were online than 15 years of traffic in the visitor center.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right. And then and the nice thing too with digital is I'm assuming then you could also almost do ads, right? You
Right.
could now sell a takeover for the day. So if something's going on at the ballpark and a plumbing company wants to be the sponsor for that day, anyone goes up and you take over.
Yep, and that, and also, like, especially on the tourism side, seasonal, right?
Yep.
So we have built-in campaigns for the 4 seasons that you're always doing one early, right? So we're already starting our fall
Right,
advertising because we're trying to get people to think about their
Right.
on a 105-degree day. What am I going to do? Even in the winter, right? Like, what am I going to do with the kids? What am I going to do for a date night?
That's like we start working with the farms in January.
That's why he's
for the fall.
talking about
Yeah.
the farms.
Yeah.
Farms.
No,
Yep.
he was talking about the farms, but I
Yeah.
think no. I mean, listen, it's one of the best things to do with your family. Right?
Yep, agritourism is huge.
Never been to a farm with my family. I don't think.
What?
I mean,
You don't wanna
pumpkin
get-
picking.
You don't want to get
Yeah,
your
that's
bikes-
that's a farm.
Yeah.
What-
you don't
what-
want to get your sneakers dirty.
No, I'm not doing that.
No, you don't have to milk a cow to actually be at a farm. That's why. That's
But these city
Yeah.
boys.
What's the big one
misnomer.
where you get the pies and like
Oh, that I've been there 100 times.
what's it called?
There's
Delicious
there's Decker
Orchards?
Farms.
Yeah,
Delicious
you've been there.
Orchards.
That's
Yeah.
a farm. What do you think it is?
All right, but I'm just saying.
What's-
that's a ShopRite put in the middle of a
Yeah,
farm.
yeah.
right?
That's where I like to go.
It's air conditioned.
There's the one I forget what the name. Happy Day.
Happy Day is
you
very
shoot
nice.
The pumpkin cannons.
Yeah,
you
those
need
are
a,
awesome.
but I think they're out of
Yeah.
his county. We got to come up with a
No,
farm in his
it's,
county.
well, we have a ton. We have, one of the things I love is we have a lavender farm. It was actually the cover of the New Jersey Tourism magazine down in Skillman. So they have a gift shop, but they have alpacas. So it's a really cool. unique
Alpacas are a big
experience.
thing.
They have
Yeah.
alpacas in
on
Jersey.
the farm.
They're
Yep.
majestic.
Yeah.
The majestic alpacas.
Yep.
I feel like my wife has showed me this. I feel like I've thumbed through this.
Yes, that's
or
one of those things
scrolled.
that's just
You
you've
have
seen it on
strawberry farms?
Instagram.
Yeah, I
Yep.
feel like I've know this.
You have strawberry farms.
Yes, yeah. We have U-Pick season, strawberries, blueberries. Snyder's Farm's a big one. So there's a bunch of
That's a fun thing.
yeah.
You should do that.
That I've
And,
never
and,
done.
and the
you
thing
should do
is,
it. It's really fun and it's delicious.
and,
I'm sure.
and the thing is, we all forget and take. It's close.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? How long did it take you to get to the office here today?
30 minutes.
30
Yeah.
minutes.
Oh.
And we all forget that, and half the time we're driving further because in our head we think we have to go further south and go.
Right.
It's right there or go further west.
It's been our marketing blessing for tourism is Somerset County. You are 30 minutes to Staten Island. You are 45 minutes to Manhattan.
Wait, just be
you are
clear.
an
No,
hour.
no one has ever said 30 minutes to Staten Island in a marketing campaign. That's never happened. Let's just be clear. Let's just be clear.
Maybe it's just a little biased.
You're
Yeah.
being generous with that statement. There's never been a piece of collateral or digital marketing
I think
put
you have
out
to actually be
30
in
minutes
Staten
from Staten
Island
Island.
to
People
be
are like,
30
what?
minutes to Staten Island.
Staten Island.
Yeah.
What
It's
is-
30
why-
minutes to New
why do I
York
wanna go
City.
there?
Come
What is
to
Staten Island?
Somerset from Staten
What
Island.
is Staten Island? Is that like Brooklyn? What is that?
Staten Island's the people I hang out with on the boardwalk on the weekends.
They're the ones getting in the fights that have to close the boardwalk down.
So to bring it back a little bit to the business element, one of the interesting things about what your organization is doing, and I only know this because of Mike, obviously, and what we touched on earlier, is that you're open to Staten Island businesses to
Yes.
become members, and so I guess give me a little bit about what you offer members, right, and then talk about the value, I guess, of membership, because we'd like to, I might have a conversation with you after this to join myself, to be honest.
all right,
And so I'm
there we
interested
go.
in learning more about it.
We'll bust out a couple applications here.
That's it. You take credit cards? We got-
Absolutely. We'll
Lydia's
take-
got the Lydia's got the swipe
2024.
outside.
Yeah.
Lydia's, she's like waiting outside the door.
Yeah.
She had it in her boots.
Yep.
We've been very intentional at the partnership about what membership is to us. I think I always tell people this, that the Chamber of Commerce, most Chamber of Commerces popped up the big regional ones, right? The state chambers. They started in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And if you think about it, right, that was the only, really one of the few mechanisms you had to brand yourself and put your name, it was your name was in the phone booth, the yellow pages, and it was in the chamber listing.
Right.
Internet comes and just totally upends the chamber model. And I still think 20, 30 years later, we're still trying to figure out and what we are. And I think at the partnership, the number one thing for me is we have, 850, close to 900 members. A member is not a member, is a member, right? Like you always hear that, like if you're just a number, right? And it's just another way to get you to attend an event. For us, we have to come up with an individualized approach for every business, right? So, if I sit down with Mike and say, hey, what is your goals in being a member? Some companies, it's branding. Some, it's engaging with the larger companies. Some, it's engaging with small business owners. And the first thing it does, going back to my previous point, is it starts to give the business a reason for being, right? They start thinking about it on their own accord. But the second is, I'm offering, basically the way I look at the business partnership, and I think most chambers, is I'm offering you a menu.
Right.
And if I just, if I give you everything on the menu, there's going to be some things you like, you don't like, you love, you hate. I'd rather just get to the things you like and you don't like without you having to try everything first, right? So we have to sit down and talk about it. So the beauty in a post-pandemic world is now we could do Zoom meetings are generally acceptable.
Right.
When a company joins, the first thing they do is they get an email from me, welcome to the partnership. Here's my calendar, set up a meeting. I'd love to learn more about you and your business. I think that's the first thing that our members definitely see that opens their eyes is that, it's not a solicitation to know, okay, now you join, now please sponsor our golf outing or please, attend this event. We're not trying to push them to the next thing because quite frankly, if I'm doing 13 events a month and someone's going to mostly all of them, they're probably mismanaging their time, right? So the big thing for us, we probably don't do things that are generally mostly different than all the other chambers, but it's I think that people approach that really kind of separates us out in terms of member benefits. Because I think if I just list all these things you get, people just their eyes just roll over.
But I mean, I think that happens in a lot of chambers, right? Like they just kind of, you get that menu.
Right. Check a
Like
box.
the way that you describe what you're doing is like you're truly being an advocate for that business. You're finding out what's important to them. You're looking to see how you could be of value to them instead of how they could be of value to you.
Right.
And that's important.
And the thing we spoke about earlier is, it also allows you to really find what they are, work with them, and give them so it's successful. Because the one thing we know is most chambers, you work to get new members, the new members in, and a year later they never renew.
Right.
Because they got the sticker, they put it on their window, and they thought that was it, and the business was going to come parading through the door. But your way is making sure that you're allowing them to be successful with those small goals of what they actually need.
First year attrition rate for not just the chamber, right? Any type of marketing, that's where you see the fall off. So that number is never going to be where I want it to be. But if I could save 5 to 10% of that, it's a huge win for us. And if they feel welcomed into a group, whether it's a group of 5 people for dinner or 1,000 people in a business setting, and they feel comfortable, even if they don't get business out of it, they're going to come back because they feel like they're a part of the group. So a big part of what we do is try to, break down barriers. I've always joked with my staff and people at the partnership that 8 out of 10 people who tell me they're joining the chamber because they love to network and can't wait to do it are lying.
Right.
They don't. We see it in the numbers. They sign up for the event and then that day,
the dog got sick.
Yeah. I forgot to pick up dinner and things happen. And it's
fell
just,
down.
For the most part, that's just people going, they visualize the event in their head and they go, I don't want to do that tonight. I'm tired. So for us, when you walk in, you're going to see me, you're going to see our staff, you're going to see what we have as ambassadors, volunteers, and we try to break down those walls and make you feel comfortable. We also just don't stick everyone in a 100-person networking room and say good luck. Some people would rather do a small 10-person meeting where they're sitting at a table. That's just way more comforting to some people. So it's not just finding about what they market, but finding out enough about the person where you go, all right, this setting probably not going to get the best here, but maybe over here is something you want to do. So it is really about finding out about the person too.
In fairness, though, there's something we're not talking about, which I feel like is the elephant in the room, whether it's your organization or any I mean, we're a part of everything. The three of us literally, I mean, I'll be a part of yours next. So now I'll literally be a part of everything. But
Got you on the record now twice.
That's fine. I got it. She's got the credit card machine. The reality is that it doesn't matter how good your organization is. It
Right.
is the person who joins.
Yes.
You're only going to get out what you put in. And if you are a member who, like Mike, goes and attends and sponsors and shows up 30 minutes away, you're going to succeed.
Yep.
And my
success
first-
is different, whether it's business or
My
just
first year or two, I wasn't putting in, in business wise what we should be, right? I thought I had, one of my employees going, but it wasn't really being done the right way. And then when I looked at it, I said, why am I not getting the return? I didn't go to Chris and say, you're not helping me.
Right.
I looked at
But that's what I'm
I
saying.
looked at
You
us
gotta look
to
at
say
internally, what are we doing wrong?
I looked and I said, no, it wasn't being done right, and changed how we're doing it.
But if you get a lot of the guys or women that are just joining for the sticker,
Yeah,
then,
and but we
they got to
also
put something in too.
we're trying to market. I think Chambers fall into the trap of just being focused on networking as the only benefit you can extract from it. So literally in June, we opened the Somerset Business Hub in Somerville. It's our new headquarters. But the centerpiece of the hub is a 2,000 square foot conference area. So there's a large conference room that seats 50. There's a smaller room that seats 5, which we're going to be developing with Techie Geek into our podcasting studio. We've already met with companies that they're larger companies. They're not going to come to our event to increase their
Right.
their NASDAQ number or anything like that. They're in the partnership because it's their corporate or the community relations person says this is the right thing to do, but they're still looking for a benefit.
Right.
So if they can use our space once a year, just once a year, right?
Justification.
Whenever that renewal comes up, I got something out of it.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to get ourselves into.
It's a beautiful space.
Yes, thank
and
you.
And it could be turned into like conference room, training seminars. They have TVs all around the place for educational sessions. It's beautiful.
No, listen, I think what you're doing to look at it from the member's perspective is great, because sometimes it's overlooked.
Right.
And it does just turn into like a membership organization or a thing or an event or whatever. So it's like, then it becomes an obligation for that human. It's like,
And then what happens is, and you're not there yet because you have over 800 members, but then what happens is you join all of these things and you're in the room with the same people
Yes.
every day.
Yeah.
Well,
It's almost, why am I getting, I don't want to pay to be Dan's friend. Well, like,
do
you know what I
anyway.
mean? Right, like I do. Like I probably spend at least 10 grand a year just to be friends with him.
There you go.
But
It's good value.
it doesn't make any sense. but we do it and we're all guilty of it.
But
right?
he said 20 years ago, right? They were. You think of it, they were separate, right? There was the chamber, the membership, and there was the EDC.
Right.
And here on Staten Island, it's still separate, right? And you still have two separate organizations. You have the Staten Island Chamber and you have the Staten Island Economic Development Corp, both membership groups.
Right.
And you basically, in
then you
order
have
to
the
be, you have
executive
to be a
club.
member of both. And I see the same people at both.
Executive Club, Bucks. Right? We have tons of networking
the
groups.
nonprofit group that started out of the EDC, like it's all kind of branched off of.
The nonprofit impact group that's coming
Here
soon.
in Staten Island, when people
Yeah.
get mad at one another, they just break off and do their own thing.
Form their own thing.
So it's
It's true.
That's very true.
It's a really good observation because it's annually I go to there's a National Chamber Conference convention, and I start going in 19 thinking I would see other chambers from New Jersey, New York, the Northeast. Nobody. It is the Midwest and the South, because there still is that mentality from a generation ago here for us in the Northeast of I'm joining, right? I'm joining to benefit this group. I feel like we live in, such a fast-paced world that it goes against the long-term relationship building of a chamber, right? Or groups that should be merging shared services, not just chambers, but you think of any type of nonprofit, there's a lot of opportunity for shared services. No one wants to give up their little fiefdom, right? So the Northeast is definitely a totally different animal than the rest of the country, where this is like commonplace. Yeah.
Staten Island is way different than the rest of the Northeast.
Yeah, we're way different than
It's
everybody.
the epicenter of the Northeast.
It's so
We're the epicenter of something. Weird place. Definitely the epicenter of something. I'll tell you that. I don't know if we could say it on this on the show, but definitely the epicenter of something.
But I've been a member, and it's funny because Prego Hagen, I joined during COVID.
Of course.
Right? I sat in my, when we first took the office, it was 2019, right? 5 months later, 6 months later, COVID hits. And I was finally just sitting in the office by myself. And I'm like, well, I can't go to networking events. I can't do this. What am I going to do? And they were holding virtual events and doing things. And I joined 2 chambers at that point, Somerset County Business Partnership being one of them. And I'm still a member of both that I joined because during COVID it helped. When they went back into the in-person, that was our fault. But like you said, you never once came to me and said, hey, will you sponsor this? Will you sponsor this? You waited for me to come to you and say, hey, I want to get more visibility. What's your good opportunity? Oh, here, golf outing's coming up. This is, I think, a good one for you. And it's been great, but it's 100%. It's what you put into it. You have to decide what it is you want to do and do it.
Well, I think too, what's important is that like at a member level, you get a benefit, and it's not just like a board member or somebody who's considered part of like the upper tier, somebody being groomed into a different position for the organization. You're taking a look at it for like each individual business, each individual member.
And businesses on Staten Island should be joining. Because not just because, yes, I don't have an office in Somerset County, but I have clients in Somerset County. And that's an area where I'm expanding to. So why would I not be a part of it? Now, I've heard from some other chambers, and I don't know, we've never had this discussion, you might get some pushback from the people in the county because they might be saying, well, why are you letting the Staten Island business join?
That's why I was interested to hear that they allow
But we don't have a spot. But if we're here and we're part of the community, we're now giving back to the community. We're help sponsoring, we're help doing and being a part and going to the restaurants and doing everything else.
Yeah, I think that's where membership is the great equalizer, right? So it really doesn't matter. My board chair in 2022 and 2023, he owns a promotional company in Raritan. He was active in the chamber, very young, ran our young professionals for a while. He ended up moving to Arkansas for a few years. His wife had taken a job down there. He kept his chamber membership and was active in Arkansas just by when we would post the new members, he would reach out to them. He would market with us. So I always use him as the example of, location certainly does not matter. And one of the benefits in this area is we have a ton of members who work in New York City. If they're doing 2 or 3 weeks in the city, or maybe they're back full in this somewhere in the city, a lot of times, like if you're going to go to an after hours, you'd rather be close to home, right? So we have a lot of that too, where people maybe their physical office isn't in the area, maybe they work in a law firm in Manhattan or Staten Island, and they want to start their day at an event early and then go into the office, or end their day close to home, right? So we get a lot of companies like that too.
Where do you see, this is the hard question. So you had a lot of success. You said you went through COVID, obviously, as we all did. You came out of it much more successful than when you went into it, you said, which is good. So congratulations to you on that. 2 years, 3 years from now, what do you see as far as growth, and whether that be in particular sectors where you're located, or particular industries, or membership? Where do you think the growth for your organization is going to be coming from?
The benefits, I guess, I hate to use that word, during the pandemic, was it gave me and my board an opportunity to kind of reflect on the company while things were slow. So like we did, all the governance stuff, bylaws and all that fun stuff I had to go through too. Oh my God.
That's great though. You did it without spending hundreds of thousands on a visioning committee.
Right. Yeah, it was done on
To
Zoom.
not do anything.
Yeah. So, but one of the things I started hearing at that time period, and then I started really hearing it in 23 and 24 as companies were coming back to the office, but also leases were coming up, right? So, I always say every company, whether it's one person or 1,000 people, 10,000 people, when that lease is up for renewal, they're looking now, right?
That's the decision. Yeah.
Right, and that's a scary thing, especially in a county where we have a lot of corporate headquarters and bases where there's not production, it's kind of back office stuff, and they're looking at downsizing. But one of the opportunities we saw was actually with the Somerset Business Hub was we had companies that were downsizing, but not only were they getting rid of office space, they were getting rid of the meeting space in their office. And they were saying, hey, maybe we're not doing a 500-person conference at the Marriott like we used to, but we really still need to use the Marriott because like we don't even have a room for like a 10-person huddle session. and that was really the beginning of the idea of the business hub.
Makes
Was like,
sense.
how do we offer something to our members at no cost
Right.
where they can come in and utilize our space? So, we envision with the launch of the hub to do two channels out there. One is to offer it as meeting space for maybe like mid and large size companies. The second is small business training. I think most small businesses, there's just too much noise out there. So even if they know what they need, it's really hard to know where to find it. And we want the hub with our training that's going to be starting in the fall of 24 to really be the first place they think of. So I think the growth is really, I know it's a cop-out answer. It's really across it's across the board.
But it's an important answer because what you're saying makes
Yeah.
sense.
No.
Crowd space and sharing resource. I mean,
So with the training, which I love, in New York, the New York City, the one thing we have a benefit of is the small business center, right? There's
Yeah.
so much money that the city puts for grants, for training, and different things. How does that work in Jersey? Do you guys are you able to go get grant money to then train businesses on QuickBooks Online and marketing, or is it different?
It's different. So the state has the number's probably a little bit off, but somewhere in the 5 to 10 range of small business development centers throughout the state. And in Somerset County, up until 2021, it was 100 in Somerset County, and it was held at Raritan Valley Community College. That closed down during the pandemic, and they moved us in with Union County, and they put it in Elizabeth, it went from right down the road for most of our members to about 45 minutes away. And that has been a game changer for us, that Somerset County is kind of a little bit of a void when it comes to a development center. And it's just not as easy as it should be getting that stuff. And again, that was another reason we view the business development center or the business hub as a way we could actually go out and get grants.
Right, and go. Yeah, that I will say that is the one nice thing that we all complain about our expensive
Everything.
taxes
I
and
thought you were gonna
everything.
say the one thing about New York is that we know
there's
it all
so
already.
many. We do know it all.
That's what I thought
But
you were
there's
saying.
so many grants and opportunities out there for like a small business here that just funnels through money that the city has and funnels through small business services. When I first started my business early on, I want to say 3 years in, I had a full-time employee for 8 months that was paid for by the city.
Wow.
Because it was basically a student that was going to become a teacher in the STEM program, but they wanted them to have real-world experience. So they literally gave me a full-time employee for 8 months because they wanted the person to basically get hands wet and actually learn.
So how many businesses do you think overlook those opportunities?
Oh,
90% of
yeah,
them.
Yes.
96% of them.
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what Chris is trying to do is, hey, when there are those opportunities out there, but you can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink.
Yeah, I got to really credit Raritan Valley Community College. They're really one of the best community colleges in the country, let alone New Jersey. But their leadership team really has been ahead of the game on moving towards specialized training, right? So there's a development center there where they work specifically with businesses that say, hey, we need to upskill this number of employees for this specific task. That's, we've talked a while about specialization within the partnership for members. Really what higher ed is pivoting to the benefit of the business community is specialization and training for positions. And I think that's really the future.
Well, I think that's an interesting topic in itself, right? Like, where is higher ed going? So for them to be positioned,
Wah, wah, wah.
Running away from AI.
yes, but
It's a failing business.
It's
failing
it's
business
in a
model.
weird spot, right? Like, it's education.
You can say it. It's a failing business model.
It
To see
depends.
them-
It
To see
depends.
them evolving, though, to hear so institutional education is hundreds and hundreds of years old, right? Hard to change,
Right.
But to
Right.
hear that some places are starting to evolve and start leaning towards like actual business and real life experience,
Yeah, that'll make sense.
trade schools are the way to go now. Like, why would you send your kid to college?
Well,
Right.
it
But
depends
if
on.
you have opportunities like that, it changes a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on what they're going to be, right?
Doctor, lawyer, nurse, you need to go to college.
Doctor, lawyer,
Whatever,
nurse.
pick any of the specialties. You got it.
You have to go,
Right,
100%.
right.
But
But that's- you do
IT,
trade
I'm a
school first.
dropout.
I
went to
be
school.
a guy that sells
and-
ads, you don't need school at all.
You don't need shit.
He don't need school
I
for
partied
anything.
a lot. I partied a lot in college. My dad paid for me to go to party.
And IT, all he does is watch YouTube videos. Just to be clear,
Google and YouTube.
There
video.
are
how do you do something? He comes in your office like, oh, well, just Google it.
Let me bill you now.
Or plug it and unplug it.
Now we know.
I think there's a lot of skills in college that we don't know we're getting at the time we're getting it that are outside the classroom, right?
Sure.
Like, you know,
Yeah, how you
we're
drink.
just growing up, right?
Keg stands.
I learned how to network and socialize with people.
Right.
Oh, there you go. Okay, like that worked out for me.
Hey, that's a skill in high demand these days. I can't tell you how many companies reach out to us and just say, you know, the people skills for our entry level positions. Like you think like banks and stuff where you're engaging with people. It's in this day and age, it's much harder to find that type of person.
Well, and we've
COVID
one of the
COVID
things,
changed that big too.
Yes.
Though. There was that tick of where all of a sudden people just want to stay home.
Yeah.
right?
Nobody wants to sit in a bank and be a teller or be somebody
But
that's
you-
like face to face.
But they've lost those skills too. And one of the things is, you go to an event, maybe you go to a chamber event, and you may not find, the person that you want to work with, but you might find the person you don't want to work with, right? The weird person standing in the corner of the room and just looking weird and has no people skills. You're like, oh my God. And but
This is coming from the guy. The first time he walked past me, he just looked at me and said, "Spy," and walked away because I worked with another IT company.
you were a spy. You were following me around.
No, I do think that there's a role between the chamber world or just business associations and higher ed in terms of providing some skills there.
Yeah.
For people when they come out of college, they're ready to be in an office. I mean, that's a big thing I'm seeing, and I hear that anecdotally all across the board. Is you're hiring people in their mid-20s now who've never worked in an office before, and that's just it could be. You could have a great employee, but if they just don't feel comfortable, you're not going to get the best out of them, right?
And they also come into the interview and go, I want $100,000 in unlimited vacation.
And wear pajamas.
I blame the parents. I blame the parents for everything.
But now,
No, listen. I went to one of the best colleges in the nation. I went to Pratt Institute. Right?
Art.
I went to school for art.
I know.
right? But I didn't learn. There was no class that offered any sort of business development there. I had no
Right.
idea what I was doing. Didn't know how to put
Balance a
my resume,
checkbook.
balance checkbook.
Now you don't
put
even need a
together my
checkbook.
resume.
But then we had checkbooks. Remember checkbooks? They were fun checkbooks.
oh wait, I just read one of the major retailers, I think it's Target, no longer accepts checks.
Who knew they even took checks?
I don't know.
Who writes checks to Target?
But it was just
Yeah.
in the paper the other day that
Last
they
week.
finally, that Target no
I
longer
read the
takes
article.
checks.
I was waiting for them to say like Venmo or crypto,
Yeah,
and
me
I'm like,
too.
Wait.
personal checks.
Have you ever has anybody in this room written a check for something retail?
No.
Yes.
I've
Retail,
never.
no.
I one time had,
Not
like, I
retail.
always had a spare check in my wallet. This was going back when I was in my
Spare
20s.
check. You sound like my
And-
mother.
Always ready.
And,
Yep.
and I
What does that mean?
I
The
have
IT guy.
cash, and you wrote the check, and they would bring out the little machine
spare
too, similar.
check.
Yeah, they would give. But that was 20 something years ago, right?
Spare check.
You never had a check?
I have checks, but I mean, I don't keep spare ones on me.
Yeah,
I pay
don't
everything on my
anymore.
phone.
I
It's
was
different. Now it's
behind
different.
someone at the grocery store 2 weeks ago. So my food's already on the conveyor belt, and they're getting rung up, and she takes out the checkbook,
out.
and I'm like,
I gotta leave.
oh my
go
God,
right back
I'm
up.
going to be here for. Thank God there was an employee who knew what to do, and it was done pretty timely. But my first thought was sheer panic. I got to get out of here.
What are we
I gotta
doing?
Get out of here.
And you already had somebody
But-
behind you.
He's like,
Was she older than like
I don't need those
80?
eggs that bad. I don't need those eggs.
Well, I remember though they would always be the people that pay for the check at the cashier at the grocery store, and then they start balancing it right there.
Yes.
like
Yep.
they literally have it out. They gotta write the number in their register, and then they're
That's like the 80s. man.
move, just keep it going.
Totally off topic, but I have to say, just because this annoys me, this would have been a good rant. Actually, you talking about this? You know what annoys me about everything you're talking about? When people get to the register and they're surprised they have to pay. Always, right? Always. Anywhere I am, it's like the guy walks up, he puts all of his crap on the table, and then he's talking, and he's like, "Oh." No, you just pay and leave.
Yeah.
The woman puts a pocketbook up, then she's going through this.
I
she's
walk up, I
doing
have
her
the card, and
eyelashes.
I'm ready to go.
Just right. I'm done. It's like,
Do you know
it's like
why?
the episode of
Can I explain
Seinfeld. Here you go. Bing, tap, go. My only inconvenience if my tap misses and I'm halfway out the store already. They're like, "Sir, you tapped it." Well, I'm like, "Oh, tap again," and then I leave.
But let me
That's
explain
because
why
the
this
receipt
is.
prints for this long.
No.
I leave that shit there. I leave it right on the floor. It falls on the floor.
This is because we own our own business. Time is money.
But they
so
just-
we want in.
right.
These are people, they may have finished their
It's
job
like the
for the
Sunday
day.
drivers
they're
of,
out.
Yes.
of
Well,
grocery and retail. Like, what are you doing?
I will say I'm in the in between because I'm a professional networker for a living, and I will try to make conversation with the cashier. So I'll make a joke like,
I'm the guy behind
"Can
you
I-"
cursing you.
Oh,
Like,
oh yeah, no, I'll be like,
I'm the guy that like, bro, this guy's got to go. He's
oh,
got
yeah.
nowhere to go.
No,
What's the kid doing?
I want good vibes. I do my shopping on Sunday morning. I want good vibes in the cashier line. But so I'll ask a question if I don't
Don't do
get
that on
anything
Staten
back.
Island.
I'm like, oh, it's not.
I'm telling you
gonna
right
be
now,
good.
you come
But-
to Staten Island, you go to like Top Tomato, do that, you'll get shot, bro.
Bad vibes all day.
You'll walk out, your
vibes.
tires. Well, first of all, you'll walk out and you'll fall over the fire lane because all of our cars are parked there. And then after you fall over the fire lane, you'll have
What country did I go to? For that?
That's a whole nother thing because I park on the
Let's bring it
fire
back
lane.
to- let's bring it
But
back to
wait,
marketing.
You also
branding.
you have to tip the bag boy, right?
have to tip everybody.
I tip everybody.
I know, but why?
I tipped
I have
the
no idea.
Orgamaki door.
But it's just easy tip.
But-
it's such a New York thing. Like in Chicago, people are friendly. They do this. They bag stuff for you. They bring it to your car. It's a really nice service.
Bag stuff. I yell at the people and I say, I remember when you used to do this for me. And they look at me like this in Wegmans every time.
They just come over and swipe it so the self check
Right.
works
Well,
again.
Who
Because you
shops?
didn't
I
put-
just do Instacart since
Yeah,
COVID.
I
Talk
was
about
actually
COVID.
surprised that you said you actually went grocery
No,
shopping.
I use Instacart. But then the problem is now I'm tipping the guy. The recommended tip is 20%.
tip the gas guy.
It's $600 grocery thing. I'm like, I got to tip them. They're like, say, like $80.
And you never have a bag. So it's
That's
$600 in groceries and $75 in bags. And then you throw it in the garbage anyway, the bags.
Oh, I never take the bag. And this is a whole nother rant.
All right. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. We're here for marketing. We're here for branding. Enough about
I got a question.
Yeah.
our problems. Enough about our own unique problems.
Everything goes back to
Staten
business.
Island
Yeah.
problems. What's the best recommendation for a small business or somebody coming to you that you could give them outside of just joining the organization? Like what do you think is like that real benefit that you could offer, could be a positive for them to take away if they were listening to this and they said like this is really valuable? Like what's that piece of
Yeah.
knowledge that you could share?
I think the biggest thing I would share is that know that there are advocates out there that exist to support your business, irregardless if you're a member, not a member, you're in this club, not in this club. There are people and organizations out there that want to support and see your business grow. And I think sometimes, especially in the last 5 years, it is a lone wolf mentality when it comes to business, right? And I don't think people are very cynical when they see that, because there's a number of reasons for that. And we don't have to get into it, but that's the number one thing I would say is that, if your business, you want to get to the next step, you're stuck in your current step. Everyone's somewhere in their lifespan of a business. There are people to talk to out there outside of the chamber who are willing to help.
You can even talk to your competitors. You
Yes.
want them, like, I'm happy to help, right? We're all at different stages, and there's so much business for everyone.
Right, that's the thing.
I mean,
Everybody misses that.
You're good with that. I mean, you're unique in where you're a very giving human.
Right.
I told Chris earlier, I said I'm a very giving human, except I like to cut lines.
Until you cross me.
Until you screw 'em.
if you were talking to a woman, I'm pushing you forward like my grocery.
Right. I'd pay for your groceries just to get out quicker. I've done that before.
All
I'm,
right,
like,
well, now-
I'm like, listen, this guy's on me. I gotta go.
I got to
Here's-
figure out when to have salad.
Right.
to
Here's
go
here's
barbecue
$50.
today.
I don't know what you're doing.
Taking my time.
So where can we learn more about your organization? Give us the website, the social handles. Where are we going to find out more information?
Sure. We are our initials, scbp.org. We are all over. My marketing team is on sites that I'm not even aware of, but we're all over Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We have 2 channels for everything, right? So there's Somerset County Business Partnership. Sometimes you'll see it as Somerset Biz Partnership. And then we have Visit Somerset NJ is our handle for all of our tourism channels.
Cool. And give one parting word, because I already said I'll commit and I'll join. But give anyone listening, because as Mike said, most of our people are on Staten Island, good, bad, or indifferent. What's a reason for someone from Staten Island to join your organization? See if we can get you some membership out of this.
Sure. I think Staten Island's in a if you were a business in Staten Island, or maybe you live in Staten Island but your business is in New Jersey, or even if it's not, Somerset County is uniquely positioned because the leadership, the makeup, we have outstanding an apparatus in Somerset County that's made us one of the best counties to live in the country, right? So Somerset County, people don't sometimes realize how close we are. If you're going down 22 from Newark, you're 10 minutes away when you hit North Plainfield. So I think if you're looking to kind of grow outside of your area or hit a new target audience, Somerset County is being a more suburban, rural area. There's a different business landscape that I think people realize so close to home, and I think sometimes different is something people need to hit that next step in their business.
And anyone listening or watching, use promo code M² for 20% off membership.
Got to do that
He
too.
said it.
He just
Put it right here.
I just saw the shit.
Well, because now I'm getting 20% off.
I thought we agreed to 10.
However, any member from Staten Island has a 20% addition to it for an out-of-state fee. So there you go. It's back to normal price.
Is that true?
No.
I don't know. It's just regulated.
Wrap it up over there.
So anyhow, Chris Edwards, Somerset County Business Partnership. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank
Tons
you.
of great insight. Really, you're sharing a lot of great communication. Sounds like you're doing a lot of good things. So we appreciate you, Mike Bloomfield, Techie Geek,
Thank you.
Anthony Rapp,
What's up?
That's a wrap.
and I'm
Thanks,
Dan
guys.
Ryan. Thank you.
We forgot. You got to tell everybody to like, follow, share, subscribe,
that's
hit the
your
like
job.
button.
Yeah, that's
That's
your
your
job.
But we
Mark.
got a little rusty.
That's your job.
I just
get back
think
in
that's
the
it.
gym.
We're done.
That's a wrap.
Don't
That's
forget to
a wrap.
like, follow, and subscribe. I'm Anthony Rapp, and that's a wrap.